My name is Crystal Brooks. And I'm really pleased that you are joining me for this on-demand session. Today we're going to be talking about welcoming students in need of extensive supports. I reside in very sunny Scottsdale, Arizona with my family, and we enjoy all of the wonderful sunrises and hiking and outdoor things that just aren't possible where I'm originally from this time of year, which is Massachusetts. So that lovely, beautiful fall picture of Amherst, Mass, right along the Connecticut River that you see in that upper picture, that's where I went to graduate school, University of Massachusetts in Amherst. There I studied as a speech-language pathologist, and it's from that training and the opportunities that I've had in the workforce since graduating many years ago, I won't tell you how many, that I have come to where I am right now, which is at an amazing Catholic school in Scottsdale, co-ed high school, where we are preparing students for what lies beyond high school, right? Whether it's college, job, anything that comes their way. It's a really wonderful place to be. Here at this school, we have the ACE department, which I am so fortunate enough to work alongside some amazing individuals. With my background in special education and speech pathology, I work with my colleague, Sarah, who is also a special educator and has many years of experience supporting students with high incidence disabilities. And we are also fortunate enough to work with some great content experts who support students in the areas of math and science. This comes in handy especially for our junior and senior students who are working towards their courses in chemistry, physics, geometry, algebra 2, probability and statistics, and on and on and on. So as a team, we provide lots of supports for all students. Our main mission is to support students with learning disabilities. However, any student that walks into our classroom, they may say, "Can you help me out? I've got a test coming up." Absolutely. Grab a seat. We're happy you're here. So it's a really dynamic room. Sometimes we never know who's going to come in on a given day. And then we have our set schedule of students that come in to see us, and they know that when they're with us, it's a safe place to acknowledge the weaknesses that they have. It's a safe place to ask for help. And they know that because we have spent many years building a relationship with these students, they know that we are there to help them. One of the other main jobs of our department is to collaborate with classroom teachers. Without their input, access to their learning materials, their curriculum, it would be really challenging to support students across all of those content areas. So that collaboration is key, and we're so grateful for it. Sometimes we may reteach a lesson to a student, we may break down an assignment, we may help them think about where they're going to get started to complete a project that's coming up. Our learning management system is Canvas, so we do regular Canvas checks, one-on-one with students, going through each of their classes to see what are they doing really well and what do they need some support with. What do they have coming up that maybe they haven't even planned for as yet? So those conversations are really meaningful. And we also do mini lessons each week focused on different areas such as neuroplasticity, metacognition, study skills, so that students are really learning how to become expert learners. And I think that's just such an important part of what we're doing with our classes these days, really teaching students how to become expert learners. It's made a significant impact on their progress this year, especially given the challenges that have been inherent with COVID and being on campus sometimes, being online sometimes a little bit of both. We've done it all this year. And teaching students how to really understand their own learning and what they need to be successful has made a significant impact on their progress and their success this year. So this is one piece of what we do. And in the 3 years we've been working together, this has really been the area that we have honed. We've kind of perfected it. We know that we're doing really good work. What we're just starting out with this year is a program designed to support students with more extensive needs. So we were fortunate that we had some time leading up to the enrollment of our now student. He is a freshman, and he is super. We're so glad he's here. But we had 18 months to prepare for his enrollment here at school. This was definitely necessary. If not 18 months, maybe one academic year would be ideal. You want students to kind of get to know you before you take them where they've been really comfortable, where they've had their community, and they're going to be transitioning to your community. It's good that you're a familiar face before they show up on that first day of school. So I had the opportunity to meet with the students' parents and my administrator when they were thinking about where he would go for high school. At that time, he was a 7th grader at our local Catholic school. It's a K-8 school. And he knew that he had 3 older siblings who graduated from our high school. And that's where he wanted to go. He wanted to graduate from the same school where his brothers and his sister graduated from. So his parents were very proactive. They knew that in our diocese, inclusion is important. It's a priority. But they also knew that at our school, there was no specific program as yet developed. They were very collaborative in seeking out a partnership with me and with the administration to develop a program that could target not only his academic needs, but also be rigorous and challenging. And most importantly, bringing him into a community of faith where he could grow and become fully involved, fully included. So we knew that we had a plan. We thought we want this to be a totally inclusive program. We know that we're going to need peer mentors. We know that our teachers are going to need training. So we focused on work done by Dr. Michael Boyle. And I highly encourage this book for any school that's seeking to improve or actually begin inclusive services for students with disabilities. It encouraged us to look at our teachers' knowledge of disabilities, what they knew and what they understood about how students learn. And when there is a challenge inherently neurological, how does that impact their ability to participate in the general education setting? We also wanted to ensure that our teacher had skills in place, such as implementing principles of UDL, differentiating instruction, being able to interpret data so that they knew when students were struggling on a particular skill, they could provide some reteaching or intervention as needed. And most importantly, Dr. Boyle stresses the importance of disposition in a Catholic school. It's important that all of our teachers agreed with our mission and vision that we welcome all children seeking to grow more in their faith, grow academically, and be part of a faith-filled community. I relied upon resources from the TIE Center, which is just a wealth of information. Highly recommend you check out their website. And we also created a live binder of resources that teachers could access to further their learning in a given area. Over the year before the student joined us, we also connected with some schools across the country that were already doing this. They have a program in place. They were using peer mentors. They were providing challenging and academically rigorous curriculum to students with intellectual disabilities who needed extensive supports in the classroom. So we had some exemplars to look to and say, hey, if they can do it, I bet we could too. And that was really encouraging. So during the academic year of 2018-2019, that was when I met with the parents, with my administrator, and we started to talk about what we would need. I knew at that time that I had to develop curriculum that we had never had before here at the school. I talked with the counseling department and my assistant principal for academics and said, I think we should teach a class on neurodiversity. I would like all students to recognize that we are all different and unique and have learning strengths and learning challenges. And the idea of someone not being able to come to our school because they had a learning disability, we needed to make sure that the students understood that as a myth. So I developed a curriculum of neurodiversity and began teaching it during the following academic year. But it was during this time when I developed the curriculum for both the neurodiversity class and our peer mentoring program. I had a little bit of lead time to do that, which I'm so grateful for. Then during our last academic year, 2019-2020, at the beginning of the school year, I was able to do some site visits. That was crucial. Having that student meet me, see me interacting with his current teachers, talking to his paraprofessional who had been supporting him for many years at his current school, and really seeing the types of supports that he was afforded in the classroom helped me understand what he really needed to be successful. I met with our administration again so that they knew what I knew. We were keeping in constant communication in preparation for welcoming our student the following year. I met with the counseling department and we talked about the courses and we talked about what we needed to do to recruit peer mentors for the following school year to work with our student. And I talked to admissions about what types of data that the family would need to submit during the admissions process, because we knew taking the HSPT test would not be an option. So what other pieces of information were we looking for to help us build his admissions record? Had another site visit, again, just kind of furthering our relationship, getting to know him, having him get to know me, seeing him interact with his teachers, with his peers, see where he was growing academically and where those supports were necessary. Then we coordinated with the local public school for some academic testing that had not been done in quite some time. The idea was just to have a psychoeducational assessment completed so that we knew, again, pieces of data that we could draw from when developing his curriculum here at high school. And then COVID hit. So that should probably be just like a big splat instead of a nice shape there in my timeline, because that's kind of what it felt like, was just a big splat of a pandemic. Nevertheless, we continued to get ready. I reached out to those exemplar sites that we had visited in the year past, and we set up Zoom calls and asked good questions and learned about what worked. If you could do it all again, what would you do differently? How did you learn from your colleagues and from the parents and the students that you serve? And these folks are amazing. They're absolutely amazing. We were very blessed to work with some not only experts in this area, but experts willing to share their experiences. Then I would follow up with the public school. Unfortunately, the testing was never completed due to COVID. It really just it turned everybody on their heads, right? So we plan to have that testing completed this year. It still hasn't been done yet, but we've also learned more about him as a student. And the more I get to know him, I'm a clinician. I like my data, so I would still encourage the evaluation to be taken to occur, but I know more about him now than I did then. And we know that this anecdotal information, the data that I have from his current classes, is also extremely meaningful and can shape decisions about his curriculum moving forward. I worked very closely with admissions, thinking that while he was our first student to apply in this new program, he would not be the last. So how did this shape our process in general? And then I also worked with marketing and development departments to make sure that our website was welcoming, to make sure that there were verbiage in the admissions application process that was welcoming and did not give anyone any indication that if they had a diagnosed learning disability or an IEP or needed these extensive supports, that they would not be turned away, that they would be absolutely welcome to our community. I continued to work with counseling, and we talked about schedule for this student for his freshman year, what that would look like, who the best teachers would be so that I could reach out to them and start to think about that. Connecting him with his peer mentors over the summer was important. So we made sure to do that through Flipgrid. That was just a fun way to get people engaged. A short video is recorded, shared, and you get to see that person so that you know who you're looking for on those very first days of school. And then before we knew it, it was August and it was our first day of school. That was met with all of us returning in an online environment. So it was not what we expected, but we were happy to be back. Teachers were on campus. We had new technology to reach students at home. We were now using Microsoft Teams and using these beautiful, I believe they called them integrated displays in our classrooms, where we could see the students at home, they could see us, they could see their peers on the screen. And it was a real blessing to be able to go back to school in August, knowing that we could still meet the needs of all of our students. So that beginning of the school year, we lasted online, I believe, for about 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It seems a blur now that I look back. But then soon we returned to a hybrid, and then we were all fully on campus. So we were very lucky in that regard. During this fall semester, I met with his teachers on a regular basis, bringing them together as a team, and then also meeting with them one-on-one. I did have to do a lot of training with his parents on our learning management system. We have Canvas and also Teams and Google Docs, where a lot of information is stored, and how to submit assignments, how to hyperlink, how to follow collaborative documents, and make sure that peers were included in the teaching and in the instruction. I was teaching the neurodiversity class and teaching our peer mentors as well. And I was actively modifying the curriculum. Hindsight, of course, it's always beautiful and picturesque and lovely to look at. Thinking, what would I do differently? I would have done a lot more modifications ahead of time. Had I not been kind of in the middle of this pandemic all summer long and not really knowing what to expect when we returned to campus. So each day I would be in class with the student and with the mentor, and I would follow along as the teacher went. And if an assignment was given for the class to complete a vocabulary lesson, for example, I would highlight the words that the student needed to focus on. And then if they were getting ready to do a group activity, I would be working with that mentor to ensure that the student could actively participate with his other peers, his true peers in the classroom, and contribute to that group work. It was exhausting. I can't even sugarcoat it. It was exhausting. As the semester went on, teachers got more collaborative with me, most of them anyway, which was so helpful. We were able to meet one-on-one and plan for a unit ahead, thinking about what that assessment would look like for our student, thinking about what modifications needed to be made, while at the same time learning what an excellent student he was and keeping the challenge just right, not too challenging where he would fail and struggle, but not so easy that he didn't have to study and work and learn. So it was very important to find that just right challenge. That felt good towards the end of fall semester, to be able to have a unit planned out. So I knew in his theology class there'd be a good solid 2 or 3 weeks where we know what we're doing, the mentors know what they're doing, and I could back off a little bit. That felt really good. This semester, we are continuing to meet with his team of content teachers. We share stories and anecdotes of what goes on in the classroom, how his peers are doing, things that the mentors could be doing that maybe they're not as yet, but where we want to lead them. And that has been very meaningful. I've also been able to take a much more proactive look at what lies ahead for his sophomore year. I've been meeting with the department chairs, and if you're in elementary or middle school and you're starting this program, you want to meet with your grade level leaders and consider who are the teachers that enjoy collaboration, that know how to make accommodations or modifications for all learners, not just students that have a need for more extensive supports, but they enjoy looking at learning from a variety of lenses and have the skills to consider the principles of UDL and differentiation. That to me has been most meaningful, because I've learned this year, again, all these learning opportunities have been amazing. But if a teacher is not a good collaborator, doesn't mean they're not a good teacher, but if they're not a good collaborator, it's probably going to be a very frustrating relationship for the duration of that course. And you really want to work with someone who wants to work with you, who wants to collaborate. So that's something I've just been more actively seeking, actively ensuring that we have that in place for next year. And then we're also looking at course progression. So what does a science curriculum look like for a student who has extensive academic needs from the freshman year all the way through their senior year, while keeping it fun and keeping it that just right challenge, and knowing that there'd be mentors in the classroom alongside him. So it has been very, very helpful. It's also empowered our department chairs when meeting with me one-on-one. They ask questions that they wouldn't necessarily ask in a group. So for example, a teacher has asked me, or the department chair, who's also a teacher, I should say, has asked me, I love that he's here, but isn't this going to be a burden to the teacher who's going to be working with him? And what does this mean for the other kids in his class? Isn't that going to take away from those other students who don't need this level of support? Now, if you have a special ed background, you'd know that these concerns they're valid in the sense that we know a lot of teachers have them. But we also know that what they're concerned about is easily overcome through communication, through active collaboration, and through a mindset that all students belong here. All students deserve a Catholic education, and all students deserve a meaningful, socially engaging experience with their peers. So you can have those conversations and be a little bit more candid, personalize it to the individual that you're talking to, and really address their concerns, their fears, their excitement, and maybe even some challenges they've had earlier in their professional experience that could be kind of this barrier to being open to perhaps engaging in teaching a class with the student themselves. But all the while focused on preparing those teachers who will be working with the students and the mentors. This has been a really fun and rewarding opportunity for me this year as I look ahead. So how is he doing? Well, he's doing awesome, and I can tell you he's awesome because if he were here with me, he would tell you himself he's awesome. That is how he does every day, and never fails to make me smile. He is in his regular education classes with other freshman students during English, during theology. Guitar is a mixed grade level class. He's even got some seniors in there. And during health and PE, he's with freshmen. Math, we did need to structure a separate class for him. He just was not ready to engage in the Algebra 1 curriculum, and that's okay. The goal was to provide him with some pre-algebra this year. I'm co-teaching with an amazing math instructor, and with his peer mentor, he's making amazing progress. He's getting ready for what lies ahead in Algebra 1. And next year, he'll be in a general education Algebra 1 class. So he'll be fully included, which will be fantastic. And then ACE, that's when he's with me. His two mentors and I spend the class time front loading and getting ready for what lies ahead in his English classes and his theology classes and math classes as needed. We ensure that he's practicing vocabulary, that he has additional instruction in writing, which is an area of weakness for him, and that he can engage with his classmates on the discussions, on the topics, within the content and the curriculum that they are learning. And that to me is so important. He wants to be fully engaged in the classroom while he's there. So this time allows us to help do some pre-teaching and front-loading with that. Socially, he's doing well. He has lots of friends who transitioned with him here to this high school from his K-8 Catholic school. He sees them on campus. They yell his name, fist bumps, high fives, everything. It's just wonderful to see. He is an avid football fan, and it was very important for him to get involved with our football team. The coaches and the athletic directors did an amazing job including him, despite all of those restrictions that were in place with COVID in the fall semester. He felt part of the team. And now those guys, when they see him on campus, again, more fist bumps, more high fives, more yelling at him from across the quad. And he loves that. He loves that. Academically, he's doing well. Again, it's just finding that just right challenge so that he is always fully engaged and always learning. He's made some wonderful progress. How is our school community doing? Well, our administration, despite being overrun with everything COVID and just everything else that they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, they remain steadfast and supportive of these endeavors. And for that, I'm so grateful. Our faculty has seen this student on campus. They've talked to their colleagues who are teaching him actively in their class. And more people are asking questions. They're exploring, what does it mean to have a student that has extensive academic needs in their classroom? And how can I become a better teacher so that I'm engaging all of the students in my class? Because that's really how we're framing this. It's not so much about this individual student, although that's where my eye is at all times, but it's about how are all of the students doing, right? Our staff on campus are fantastic. Engaging with the development department, with marketing, has been very, very instrumental. I need to do more of that as we progress in the next year. I think that the staff is interested in learning how they can participate in this program and what can they do to promote it. The students are awesome. You know, the students are fantastic. We've had lots of engagement, not only from his peers, but friends of the peers who have gotten to know him. And our parents are, I believe they're asking more questions. They're reaching out to be more. I've seen more openness when considering the need to disclose a learning disability. And I think that that's amazing. We always want to help students and meet them where they're at. And when parents disclose that information, we can do our job much better. So how am I doing? Honestly, mostly okay. Today's a good day. Tomorrow will be a better day. And I'm trying to practice what I preach, right? Continue my flexible thinking, approach this amazing program, this amazing opportunity that I have with a growth mindset. And just know that I'm very lucky. I have the support of a fantastic administration, colleagues that understand me, that get me. And when I am facing a roadblock, when I'm faced with a teacher that just has no interest in collaborating with me, and I feel like I'm spinning in that hamster wheel and running in place and not getting anywhere, I know I can look back and say, wow, we really did something extraordinary. It took a while. It took a lot of planning. It took a lot of preparation. And in the middle of a pandemic, we welcomed a student with Down syndrome to our campus, and he's happy, and he has friends, and he is growing academically. So I'm doing okay. And it's really been an amazing opportunity. So when I stop and reflect, thinking about, like I said earlier, that hindsight, I really wish I had started talking to department chairs or grade level leads so much sooner and really got to know the teachers that wanted to collaborate with me. I know that for myself, I'm open-minded, and honestly, I'm perfectly fine with trial and error. But getting others to have that same mindset is a little tricky, right? Teachers are perfectionists. They like doing their job to the very best of their ability. So when they're faced with a situation where they feel they can't, or they feel they're unsure of their ability in an area, that's where that resistance starts to come in. And I have to keep in mind, it's not me, right? It's not the student. It's not the situation. It's knowing this teacher may just need some additional resources. They may need some support. They may need some specialized training, either internally or externally. Well, how can we help them, right? How can we help them grow as professionals, as educators? And really tell them it's okay if it doesn't go perfect. We'll learn from that experience and it will be better the next time. And I've learned, and this has been probably my biggest challenge, I can't make everyone happy, right? I can be true to my mission of the school, be true to providing an inclusive environment for students with disabilities, be true to the principles that I know work for all students. And some people may not want to engage in that, and that's okay. It's okay. So I'm working on that. I hope to one day be one of those exemplar schools that I was so fortunate enough to visit. Cathedral Catholic in San Diego, Bishop O'Connell High School in Virginia. Check them out online. They're amazing, amazing locations, wonderful people who are there and just so open and willing to help others who they know are working to carry out their similar mission. So if this is something that you are interested in learning more about, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'm at Notre Dame High School in Scottsdale, Arizona. You can find me on LinkedIn. I have a Twitter account, although I'm more of a reader on Twitter than a poster or a tweeter. I'm not sure what the right words are, but you'll find me at Crystal Brooks AZ. And I hope you've enjoyed this session. I hope it gave you some inspiration. I hope perhaps it even sparked some more questions and promotes your own learning and your own growth. And I look forward to hearing from you in the future. Thank you and God bless.